Welcome to the late night. Straight demon shit. Hey, I tell you something. I did my hair for you guys. I don't know if my mic's kind of low, but we're gonna move it up a little bit from 27 to make it a little louder. Hey, straight demon shit. Hey, so topic of the night is to be in silence and listen for paranormal shit. My earliest paranormal experience, I think, was about around the same time I started smoking cannabis. And it's gonna get crazy, cause it's, for my life, paranormal shit has always been there. From E.T. to UFO phenomena to motherfucking kangaroos skipping across the night, skipping across a road across the night, making it seem like they're just things on the road at night. Animals, types of animals, big birds that I've experienced. Big birds. Imagine a bird the size of your windshield sitting in a two-door car, and then the bird just come out of nowhere and then fucking stand like this. Look this way. The biggest fucking bird I've ever seen in my fucking life. The biggest fucking bird I've ever seen. And that motherfucker had a fucking net on, right? Had a net on. Like, they tried to catch that motherfucker with a fish net. That motherfucker had a fish net on him and flew away. So imagine how big is this motherfucker. That bird that I seen when I was maybe like 13, 14 already. So my start, I'm guessing, my grandmother was into that voodoo shit. Yeah, I tried to gel my shit up. I don't use gel, but I like to use baby oil and argan oil and certain things sometimes whenever I feel that I have too much hair loss. And you could tell because I used to have a widow's peak. The widow's peak used to be here. And since having long hair, my widow's peak has been slowly moving back to God knows where. And I also have a pretty bald area in the middle where it naturally parts, because it's been so many years of splitting of combing the hair or having the hair split down the middle. That area has began to stretch. Like, it's not hair loss, but it's more actually like stretch within the scalp, right in between where the hair splits. So my grandmother, she has like a Creole voodoo, Cuban style witchcraft bullshit in her life going on. She did that shit all her life. Like, I went to a couple of her seances or whatever, just like they do in New Orleans. That's why I say that me and Lil Wayne are close cousins. The story behind me and Lil Wayne was that Baby, Birdman, before Cash Money, used to go to Puerto Rico, and about to blow up like Cash Money did, and they used to go to gay clubs or whatever. And Maria, which is the niece of my grandmother, a really tall black woman. Maria, when she was young, if I'm like five something, Maria's like 6'6" black woman, big as hell legs. And Baby Birdman had a motherfucking crush on Maria when she was young. And I'm guessing they went out or they met some type of shit. In addition, that Maria's mom used to be a palm reader or a truth teller. Those people that read palms. And Alicia, her name was Alicia. And Alicia used to be a very, we don't know what happened to Alicia, because Alicia was not blind her whole life. Because I remember seeing videos of Macho Camacho's fights, and Alicia used to be there next to Don King, the actual fucking Don King. So you could tell that Alicia went from she started getting old, until she got really old and went completely blind, and used to do that voodoo Creole witchcraft shit, and also truth telling. You know, like she used to hold your hand, and just basically start talking of what she feels, and then try to direct your life or whatever. So Baby, after liking Maria to some extent, liked returning to Elisa to get his palm read when he was in Puerto Rico. The first time I met Lil Wayne was riding with Baby, or with Birdman Williams, in a 5.0 white Mustang. And that 5.0 white Mustang ended up in the hands of someone else right in front of my grandma's house. Because my grandma lives in a project, or used to live in the projects. And that the same 5.0 that fucking Baby and Lil Wayne was in when I fucking met them, it was technically parked right in front of my house, and it belonged to someone else now. I'm guessing they gave it away, or they sold it, or did some other shit. But the same exact car, it basically an identical replica of that same exact car, 5.0 Mustang. So within those days that Birdman was going to Elisa's house to see Maria and Elisa, Lil Wayne appeared, and I'm guessing it was 16. Wayne was like 16, 17, maybe even 15. Between 15, 16, and 17, around those 3 years, and I was around 12 or 13, around there. So he was like, he was getting close to his 18 years old. I was like 13, or maybe even less than that. Maybe I was like 12, and hold on, let's check Lil Wayne's age real quick. I was 12. He's 39. I'm 36. Yeah, fucking wrong spot. Spot on. I'm not lying. I'm not fucking imagining this shit. He's 39. I'm 36. So yeah, if I was like 12, 13, Lil Wayne was like 17, 16, around that same age. And he appeared. That's how we met. How do you call it? My grandmother used to go to Elisa's house, and Mario used to be there, and Baby used to be there. Baby used to go there. And that's where I met Lil Wayne, and we were young. And then my grandmother called us cousins. I thought, they're still cousins. Like that. And I think we even played some shit. And then I think we even played there. We did something there. I had like cap guns when I was that age. We shot around with fucking fulminante guns. And then that was the last time I seen him for a little bit. And then as I was growing up, Slim Williams, which is Baby's brother, his actual brother, Birdman, the people, the musicians called Birdman, his brother lives, or I don't know now, it's been fucking decades, used to live in a project right next to my grandmother's house. Because where my grandmother is, it's like my grandmother's basically the center of the universe back then when I was young. My grandmother knew every single motherfucking celebrity, every single motherfucking musician, every single motherfucking salsa player. Hey, thank you very much for the follow, whoever the heck that was. That was so loud. Hold on. Let's check who followed me. Thank you very much for the follow, whoever the heck that was. That was really fucking loud. I had to lower the freaking music to the minimum. He followed me twice. He just followed me. Let's see. Oh my goodness. Thank you very much for the follow, Elder Hobo. Thank you very much for the follow, Seeking Some Water. Thank you very much for the follow, Izzy Zizzy. Thank you very much for the follow, Lepsay. Thank you very much for the follow, Unknown User. Alright, how you guys doing? There's 4 follows, so you guys gotta wait a second until I keep talking. So, all right. So let's start the story again. So I sort of explained a little bit that I met Birdman and Lil Wayne early because of Elisa and Maria. And Elisa used to know Don King, and Don King and Elisa used to go to see freaking, how do you call it, Macho Camacho's fights. And she went blind and very skinny. Basically, Elisa, to some extent, or the lady Birdman used to go see, to tell him the truth, or to read his palm or whatever, turned into a freaking mummy. Like, and she lasted, I'm pretty sure she passed away, but she lasted over 100 years. And Maria took care of her to the point that she became a mummy, a solidified mummy that ate, technically, like that, solidified, like a stone person. It's some real witchcraft stuff. Like, we were talking about someone that bones calcified and are absolutely stiff, doesn't poo, doesn't pee, but eats until the person passed away. A very not a very delicate situation, but Maria took good care of her for a really long time. So, returning back to the story, so yeah, and the projects we were before these people started following me. My grandmother was the center of the universe. Still is. She's still in here right now, next room, sleeping. I give her coffee almost every day. She doesn't eat much, but I give her coffee. That's all. If she eats it, I'll give it to her. Everyone knew her because obviously she was the best nurse within the area, and she birthed everyone. Basically, my grandmother was the person that saw every single child within that area. Or one of the several nurses that saw everyone that within the time, come to life in a within the hospital, whatever, when female, when ladies were giving birth. So Slim Williams, Birdman's brother, used to be in the projects next to my grandmother's, and he used to have a girlfriend there and kids there. And Birdman, as I grew up, since those 12, 13, between my mom and my grandmother and my father's house, I used to be at my grandmother's house, and Birdman used to come with Lil Wayne. Already sort of, fully blown up, about to be blown up. Maybe like 18, like straight Cash Money. At the height of Cash Money, they used to go to PR, and then after Cash Money, Birdman used to. Our Birdman already separated from the Cash Money shit. Birdman used to return to PR. I don't know if they're returning anymore, but they have a lot of property in PR. Like Birdman, I think Lil Wayne has a Lamborghini there and a whole bunch of all types of shit. So when we were young, me and Lil Wayne played tag, or Pillo Policia, which is a group of people. As one police officer grabs another person, that person becomes a police officer. You got to continue grabbing other kids. Pillo Policia is how it works, basically. Like, if it's Pillo Policia, a bunch of people are playing, and then it's just one cop, and then that person grabs a cop. And we're talking about jumping from rooftops and 2 to 3 story floors, coming down from the 3rd story by pinning your legs to the cement and your hands and sliding. We were wild. At my age, my 16, 17 were fucking wild. We were doing all types of crazy shit, getting on rooftops, doing all types of shit within the general area. And as the game progressed, more police officers started hunting one single person, or the last person left. Lil Wayne played with us in several of those games when he was growing up within that project. And Birdman was also involved in how do you call it, in the winter fiesta, or the winter giving of the project. Because remember, we're talking about a very impoverished community. The people on the left side were not so impoverished because they're mostly elderly people, but there was a lot of children back then when Birdman used to visit on the right hand side. So I remember Birdman coming in and giving in a bunch of turkey, giving a bunch of toys, and doing all that philanthropy, charity shit. and they did that. They did that for a little bit, and they also Birdman never came to my grandmother's seances. Neither did Lil Wayne, but Paris Hilton came to one of my seances one time, and I remember seeing her. I remember sitting like this, right, in one of the seances where people do Cuban witchcraft or whatever. A bunch of people doing Cuban witchcraft within my grandmother's apartment, and in comes fucking Paris, looks at me and walks away. I'm like, holy shit, fucking Paris, check me out. Paris knows where I live. Paris technically has never been in this house, but probably knows I live here. She's fucking been into every single apartment I've been in, but the Miami place, because I'm in Miami. I moved in a bunch of places, but within PR, she's been nearly fucking everywhere I've lived at. It's fucking crazy. Paris is fucking crazy. Paris Hilton is fucking insane. Following me around with cars, going where I eat, eating what I eat, just weird. She's a crazy billionaire. Kanye West did come to my apartment in Miami though, so I know Kanye since 2005. So Kanye was someone that went to where I lived in Miami when I left to Miami and stayed there for like 2 years. So we're gonna start talking about paranormal shit. When I started fucking smoking cannabis, bro, in my life, I was like 16, 17 in New Jersey. Shit got fucking real, bro. Real devil shit. Real devil shit. Like real devil shit. Not like fucking around, bro. We're talking about real devil shit. So I used to come home or whatever, right? Thinking like, you know, you come home from school or whatever, you're just kind of baked because you maybe smoked with friends, headed to your room, and you walk by and the whole entire loaf of bread falls. Boom. Boom. And you're like, what the fuck? And you just walked by it. You didn't touch the motherfucking loaf of bread. Nor your backpack, nor nothing. The loaf of bread was in the motherfucking... The loaf of bread was in a fucking drawer, perched up, on the way to your room. There's zero, absolute fucking way that loaf of bread fell from that motherfucker. You know, nothing. From your, you know, from your heart, from your aura, from your massive wings like an angel, could have fucking physically touched the freaking bread and made it fall on the ground. And it was countless times in my life that I walked home. Sorry about the microphone. That I walked home, got upstairs, kind of baked from smoking with kids or whatever, walked to my room, passed through where the bed is stored, and one single motherfucking loaf of bread would just be like whoop, to the ground, son. Like boom. And you're like, what the fuck? And you look out the room and the fucking loaf of bread is in the ground. And you're like, oh my god, this is some serious shit. That's when you start experiencing these things that aren't from Earth. That's you know, these things when you're youth and you start disconnecting your brain with drugs or whatever are when things really start to happen. Technically, reality starts to sever the moment you're about to die. You're about to go somewhere else. The consciousness in the brain is way too strong for the concept of death itself. It either replaces your reality with an equal and similar reality, or you go somewhere else, likely to be reborn or to be tested or whatever the fucking cosmos has in store for you. I gotta put my microphone in the center of the screen. This is fucking crazy. I'm gonna get carried away with this motherfucker. So, as you fucking deal with that fucking loaf of bread falling almost every single day. Listen to this shit. Almost every single day, it starts happening the other way and more violent. The other way and more violent. Not like a little bit. Not like it fucking slipped because of the vibrations of the floor. Nah. We're talking about a fucking loaf of bread being chucked from wherever the fuck it was onto the ground, far from where it was. Like if something inside the wall was pushing it. Maybe it was me. Maybe it's my death. in the future. You know, the movie motherfucking, what's that movie about the wormhole that the guy goes to space and dies, and what the heck, I forgot about that movie. Interstellar. Like Interstellar, that the guy's looking at his daughter and he's trying to tell her about the key to solving the puzzle of the wormhole, and pushes the motherfucking book so that the book falls on the other side. Maybe that was me. Maybe that was me. Look at that. My computer decided to restart when I closed it. Anyways, let's put it a little closer. Maybe that was me when I died. And me when I died returned those specific ages, 16, 17, to let me know of something. I'm trying to bind things of reality and my imagination together to make it entertainment. So this loaf of bread continued falling in that house. And it didn't stop. I'm going to move the camera a little bit so I can look at myself looking more to the camera. It didn't fucking stop. Talking about walking home, getting home, walking past the bread to my room, and the bread would fucking fall. To the point that I remember looking at the motherfucking bread and the bread falling. Which makes it even more insane. Makes it even more insane. I'm gonna lock the door because I'm getting spooky. I'm getting spooked myself, and I don't like being looked at, and I don't like being in an open portal, because this home is an open portal of evil. Straight devil shit. Straight devil shit. Because remember, the lady that's in here used to do that shit, and she's Lunu, she's cuckoo, so she left that portal open. I mean, protect myself a little bit more. I'm gonna add the inherent secures, little skateboard, little piece of cardboard, the pillow, whatever I do, so that things aren't looking for me underneath the door. Give me a second. So yeah, I was saying, it got to the point that I looked at it fall, and there's no better evidence of paranormal activity than that. There's no more other evidence of paranormal activity than looking at something like I've seen recently, a door open in this house, just like open, like just you know, like your body starts going. It's happened recently, not that far long ago, not like a year ago, but less. Door has been just, what the fuck? My door's opening in this motherfucker like this? Poltergeist shit? Something's always been following me, or something has been protecting me from everything. We could call them aliens. We could call them angels. Call them whatever the heck you want. So, I seen the bread fall. And, you know, you confirm it. You fucking see it hop from wherever the fuck it was, like, to the ground. And I was like, what the fuck is this? Static energy? You know, like, static fucking energy, son? And yeah, I haven't been working out, so I lost most of my gains. I look skinny because I haven't been trying. I've been really lazy. I haven't been doing much. My brain has been just focusing on random shit, not on my body or on cooking or any of the other things that I like to focus myself on. And it's kind of messy back here, but I don't care. At least my bed, my bed sort of seems like it's made. So after that bread, things started getting even more weirder. Based on my grandmother, because my grandmother is a lunatic. My grandma, she's not a lunatic, but she dealt with people who are mentally ill. And you could tell that she tried to make me mentally ill to some extent. You could tell that she tried to engage my consciousness in some shape or form in the same way the people that she cared for in the past did. Because she used to work in an insane asylum. My grandmother used to work in an insane asylum. And I remember her because I went. She used to mop the floors, and she used to just bang on doors and make people fucking scream the gut out of the scream, guttural fucking screams for just banging on the motherfucking door of the person. And I used to hear that shit. I heard that motherfucker fucking yell at the top of his fucking lungs just for her going bam to the motherfucking door. Just made him fucking nuts. And she did exactly the same shit to me as I remember her with her white gown mopping the floor, just like, or walking by through the area that used to be a designated mental facility within the same hospital that she worked at. Because I remember I visited her. They moved her sort of from there slowly into the AIDS section, blood work or whatever, and medicine distribution for AIDS over time. Banging that motherfucker used to yell. Several of them used to go crazy in that motherfucker just from one bang. And it was open too, just doors of people who were mentally ill and had AIDS. Bang, bang. Just from one single bang of my grandmother on that door, send that man fucking into some death spiral. And she did that shit to me for a little bit here. She stopped. She's not that crazy before, but you've seen it on stream. If she bangs on that door, I will quickly seek ear protection for protection from loud, from loud bangs or noises or whatever. So paranormal activity to me continued in several ways after that. Sightings. I'm going to talk about sightings, or things that shouldn't be there but they are there. I remember looking at the window from my dad's side into the park, and there was something there, and I focused so long on it, and there it came. As I looked on it, like a light, a mix of a light with a figure or some shit like that, feet from my house. Like, I looked at it in a particular way, and maybe it's just that my eyes were watery and it created a trickle, like a liquid effect, but it materialized something within my vision. And I seen that motherfucker right there, and I told my dad, and just like, what, right there? Yeah, right there. And I saw that shit, and there was something there, but whatever. We're going to talk about a paranormal incident, more like a exorcism or poltergeist activity within my life. I was surfing one day, riding bodyboarding, fairly big wave. I focused on it for a fairly long amount of time in my life. We're going to talk about the moment that got me noticed, and it's technically I grew fucking demon wings, or something pushed me out of Earth's gravity with massive force. So this particular winter I focused on just going to ride waves and doing drugs and drinking and just wanting to just do what I like to do, which is basically repeat the same process all over. I had left high school for it because my mother kicked me out of my house when I was about to graduate high school. Basically months from graduating high school, they had some alibi trying to ruin my life. Out of the many ways they tried to ruin my life. So she ended up throwing me in Puerto Rico so that I felt I don't know, maybe try to embrace the suck that they wanted me to be a nobody instead of supporting me, you know, because they weren't really ready to support me at this point. They were interested in supporting their kids, both my mother and my father, and put me on back burner on certain things when I was growing up. You know, they never really figured out what I liked until I just started doing it on my own. So I get to Puerto Rico, and I used to go to a high school, or went to a high school for maybe a couple months in Puerto Rico on that 12th grade senior year after being kicked out and already having had sex with 20 fucking females. Like that. Listen to me. I peaked in high school. I don't know about you motherfuckers. I didn't peak in high school, but high school was pretty fucking... I caught mad bodies that year. Mad bodies. I had sex with everything and everyone. Not males, but females. From all grades. Below me, above me, senior, since like 9th grade. And from out of town, too. Sexual contact. Each and every single one of them. Having sex in school multiple times, twice in one day. I was crazy. I was probably like a man whore, you know, or just Stifler. You ever seen Stifler? From American Pie? I was probably Stifler. Not freaking Sonya or whatever. I'm not Sonya. I'm more like Stifler. Your mom's and shit. Like that. I was really bad. I was really, really bad. Not bad, but you know, I was just promiscuous as fuck. I had sex with anything and anyone that I wanted. If I liked you, we were going out immediately. And we were having sex within the fucking next 3 days or less. Like that. And on top of that, because of that, I just landed more chicks. So if I was like that, and I was within a period that I did not have a partner, or just a single sex incident, the girlfriends from my friends would fucking hit on me and try to saddle me and try to fuck me and shit. And I would have to be like, no, I don't do that shit to my boy, my dude. You know, I'd put my hands up like, no, I can't do that shit with you. Like that, because that's how I was. I was popular as fuck. Out of school, in shows, because I used to play for a band. I used to yell for a band or whatever. Or scream, guttural, all that. All of that metal shit that kids do now, I did that before all of you, 20 years ago. I'm 30, yeah, like 20 fucking years ago. 16, 17, yeah, 20 fucking years ago, I was in a metal band. Hardcore metal. In New Jersey. So, let's not get carried away here. What are we talking about? Start talking about sex for a second, so yeah. Wait, let's go back. We were talking about paranormal activity and the surfing shit. So, I did my thing those years. I just, focused on what I wanted to do. I skipped school. I just basically stopped going to high school after having sex with like every single fucking female that liked me in that high school that I left. The stud. Straight stud. To some school where where people from my grade look like fucking infants. Like that. Like, imagine going from a school where everyone's fucking promiscuous and drinking and having drugs and fucking and just stupid shit, stupid teenager, early college year shit, to straight prudeness, shyness, just a 12th grade that's boring as fuck. Nobody's doing drugs from your grade, just stupid. Kids that are extremely immature. And obviously kids that later on in life became menaces to society. Some of them are the betrayers that stole a lot of money from me and public figures, or acted like friends just to take money and run. And we're talking shit. We're talking shit like, oh, we want to kill this motherfucker and this shit and that to the public, to the public figures, so they give them more money. The dangerous motherfuckers were part of those prude people that. Both of them, the female and the male, were part of those prude people that in high school they didn't peak, they didn't have no relationship, no nothing. There was nothing, there was no identity in that shit. There was just children who go home and go to school. Nothing, no identity of them generated yet. And they didn't generate that shit through college either. They remained as prude. They remained as We call them today incels or betas. So I stopped going to high school in Puerto Rico completely. I'm like, fuck it. I'm not gonna go to these I'm not gonna go back to this fucking hellhole. I'm not gonna go sit here and expect to graduate when I know for a fact I gotta repeat another class that I can't take because it's full of people or whatever. I'm just gonna I ignored the situation and just started riding my bike and going to the beach because that's what I liked. And that's what I did. Just start going to the beach. And the kids from high school used to go see me at the beach. I used to just fucking ride waves at the beach nonstop every single day. I forgot about fucking high school then after being kicked out of my actual graduating class, because I did graduate. They added me on the system. They added me on the graduating class, so I did fucking graduate that shit, but I wasn't present. They kicked me out of my house when I graduated, and they forced me to leave to my father's house when I could have just taken a fucking plane ride to my graduation, graduate, grab my fucking diploma, and leave. I could have done that back then, years ago, but I didn't do that shit. Or I didn't return to the States after getting to my dad's. I decided to just stay with my dad. So I started surfing, non-stop, riding waves, bodyboarding, whatever, just riding waves every single fucking day. Kids used to see me there, or sometimes also to skip high school, skip school and go to the beach, and I'd be there already with my green bike. There I met a professional surfer. So within an American professional surfer, as I slowly developed my skills, and used to return alone, and I used to be there by myself, and I used to see him get there by himself. A very, very important public figure, surfer, Andy Irons, who passed away a couple of years ago, based on drugs or whatever. Andy used to come to my spot, and I used to not know how to ride big waves yet, but be there. I used to see him sit there in the lineup, look to the left, in comes a pro surfer, walk, check the lineup, maybe stretch his arms and go into the main peak area, or walk down the beach and go into a spot that I abused later on. I basically started, when I focused more on my riding, I went exactly to that spot that Andy used to like to ride by himself on the other side of the bay. Not on the main bay when we had a lot of fun, on the other side. So years went by. We're going to talk about some paranormal shit. That's already paranormal. Surfing and getting in deep barrels like that, that's paranormal. I used to be a paranormal barrel rider. I used to be in the barrel in a surreal way. I used to do this water shit above everyone else. Look at Kelly Slater. Kelly Slater was my bitch when I was young. I was inside that shit. Like, if the wave curled like this and had a particular fucking curl to it, I was in the center of that motherfucking curtain, and I didn't stop until the wave ended. Every single wave. None of them afloat, none of them outside, none of them on the flat area, all of them in the cylinder. Each and every single one of them for the longest amount of time. The longest most people have ever seen. I was the guy that made people like that hold their breath what I was doing. Like that, hold their breath, like it's of course that guy came out of that, like that. That was me, and I did that every day, every time, every way. And I also took waves from you. If you're not a local in the lineup and you're a bit too slow, I'm already 100,000 miles an hour to grab the next wave behind you, wave from behind, so you can't catch it, even if it's yours. Like if we're sitting here and a massive fucking wave's out back and I see it, and you were probably there first, I'm swimming next to you and out the fucking back, out there really far back, and catching the wave really far from behind and catching the best one. Or basically going out back and looking for the best one and getting on the best one and going right by you, not giving a fuck. And I did that for years. That was my style. High performance, not going to stop for anyone. Every wave that I want is mine. Nobody else could ride. Technically, it's just whoever the fucking is the leading group is the ones that are going to ride this shit. And I did that for years. That was me. That's what I did. Some people started disliking me for it, but some people definitely recognize what I did, and they'd rather just sit back and look at me. And to some extent, what I did in the water was sort of paranormal. We could say that being locked in that pocket, it's surreal. You're breaking. You're using the geometry of the world to your benefit. You know, I was already using or manipulating the cosmos and reality in such a way, like a magician, to my pleasure, just for the ecstasy of looking up inside the tunnel. And this thing matured. What I did then started to mature into bigger and even more mind-bending shit. You know, I started doing even more deadlier and more specific shit than that. That was just the Grom shit, the Grom years. That's what I did when I was a Grom. When I was a technical baby, or starting with this shit. Started manipulating the geometry of the water. Started being always in the pleasure zone. It's like having sex. I was having sex with each wave. On every wave I took. And that's before I started to get technical in the maneuvers that I did. I basically just looked for pleasure on each one. So, one of the most craziest poltergeist days of my life, or one of the several days of my life that were definitely alien phenomena and poltergeists and ghosts and all that shit was involved, was when I bottom turned a 12-foot wave and flew into the sky. Because the geometry isn't there. The velocity that I impacted the water, the crest that I hit, the trajectory that I took, it was more like I broke gravity. Talking about breaking gravity in its entirety. Almost floating. Literally floating. 5 seconds of airtime. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Like that. From one single hit. And that was poltergeist. That was something ethereal had to be there. That's likely me. What's inside this shell, the alien that's inside this shell and shit, doing the real shit, you know, connecting the cables in reality for me to do that, or, you know, coding in what's going to happen with the world as it happens to this person. And yeah, it felt surreal. People were there. People had already left the water when I did that. Like, I was there and I was already doing it in a particular way that people started to lean back and look at what I was doing. Because I remember I flew in on one and it wasn't that high, but it was still a 10-foot phase. And I still flew behind the back like 5-6 foot. And I saw everyone behind the wave like, fine, smiling. Like, this guy is flying. Guy's flying. And little did they know what I did after they all left that water. They already hung back and just started to just look at what I was going to do in the next wave. I was going left, right, whatever. And the way that I was, I basically rode whatever wave to do whatever thing on it, because I was extremely proficient in what I wanted to do. Basically autopilot, you know, like you want to ride a wave and you want to hit, you just want to do a maneuver, something happened after the maneuver. But something happened after that maneuver that I was 30 feet in the air. You know, and when you're 30 feet in the air, you know you're 30 feet in the air. There's no lying about it. There's no polygraph. There's no cap and no cap justification of any of you guys that have never done that type of shit. You just know. And you remember the day. And there was no wind. Sun was going down. The wave was like 12 feet. I bottom turned. I hit the lip. And the motherfucking lip ejected me to the stratosphere. Like that. Like, just like that. I hit that shit. And I flew 20 fucking feet in the air, 27, 25 foot in the air, and then I landed in front of the wave. So if you look at the perception, you look at my perception and what I see in that moment, you're looking at a 12-foot fucking wave, which is this tall. You're looking at 20 feet, which is double the wave height plus a little more, and you're looking down at where you're gonna land with your feet. Looking down that motherfucker like, oh my goodness, what the fuck did I do? Poltergeist shit. That's how you know. That's how you know. You're like, oh my goodness. Material shit. This is that fucking devil shit happening right now. Not devil shit, but angel shit. Poltergeist shit. Ghost shit. Happening right now. Just boom. And it felt it too. I felt a concussive effect. My eyes sorta glistened from the impact. You know, like if I got like a concussion in my face, like bah, like if someone punched me in my face and I flew up, just like bah. Holding the board, like, oh my goodness. I looked down and I seen the entire curvature of the bay, another beach, the rock, the palm trees, above the palm trees, literally a perspective, like if you were literally hanging from reality, looking down the beach. And that was me. That's what I do. That's how I communicate with, that's how I connect with Earth. Not Earth, but how I fuck with them geometries, you know. Most people don't see that type of geometry. I abuse that motherfucker. I see the energy and I consume it. Like that, just like, bah. And I seen all that. To my surprise, you know who was looking at me with a fucking camera? Oprah. Oprah Winfrey was with a fucking camera on the beach like this. Looking at that motherfucker up. And I'm looking down and I see fucking Oprah. Her big fucking... her African American face, her big puffy fro, just like this with a camera up in the sky, bro. Like that. Up. Imagine how fucking crazy that shit was. So fucking crazy. A woman that's 4 inches, 9 foot, walking to me as this incident happens, you know, not walking to me, but walking my direction, you know, from the sand that is dry to the sand that is wet. The stand in the area that the sand is wet looked about this big. Not this big or this big. Or like this big or whatever. Nah. She looked this big. And she's like this, looking up. And I'm still in the motherfucking air, like, ah! 1, 2, you're still going up. 3, the whole butterfly sensation, to all that fucking, you know, your guts are like, whoop. And then, wah, down. Let go of the motherfucking board. Just like, start looking down. Like if you just jump from a fucking 30-foot diving board. And I did that physically with my body. I didn't fucking, nobody slingshotted me. Nobody used a jet ski. There was no motors involved. Nothing. Just me doing my nature shit. Or doing what I did since like 16, since maybe 18 years old that I left high school to do. Probably about 20 now. Yeah, it's like 20. It took 2 years to get there. 1 full year. My whole 19, maybe my whole 20th or 19th year of age, I did that shit almost every day. I just went out to the beach to fucking ride. And that was the result. That's like the culmination. That's the peak. That's the self-actualization of what you want in life. You fucking fly, son. So you put your mind to it. Connecting with the geometry of the cosmos. Pah! You're off. In air now. You're like, oh shit. The fuck do I do now? The fuck do I do now? And there's no fear on it. I didn't have any fear as I landed or as I committed to the entire trajectory of the maneuver. It's technically more like pleasure. When I came out of that motherfucker, it was like a fucking 200. It felt like 200 people saw me, but nobody really saw me. Only the people that were at the beach. You got, I think, John and Nathan Florence on this side of the beach, just crouching, looking at me surf, looking at some other shit with their car parked. The actual a super young Florence. Both the Florence brothers were there that day to make it even crazier. Oprah was there. The palm trees, looking at that shit. And they're coming out. I come out holding my shit, and I see them fucking crying. Little Grom's crying because they saw me fly, bro. And then Oprah right there, bro. Oprah right there with the camera in her hand. And I get out. I'm holding my shit. Like, yeah, dude, that shit is fucking amazing. That's fucking amazing. Sorry I'm cursing like a sailor here, but, you know. Comes and goes to me. Oprah's right there. I have my shit all sweaty. Then I want to tear up because I seen their eyes glistening like motherfuckers. Nathan brothers, their eyes were teary as fuck. What they saw was fucking godlike. You know, what they saw was they'll never see something like me ever again. I mean, it took years to see something like me. Mirror image of like Jeff Hubbard, like 2 years later. 2 years later, Jeff Hubbard. 2 more years after that, Pierre-Luc Costes, which is the French guy, started sort of doing that. And the whole industry today, the sport, is not like that. It will never be like that again. It was just us. It was a particular coalition, extreme coalition of individuals that did this in a particular way. Kids, or the ones that do it now, they want tiny waves, perfectly executed tricks, but they don't want the size. They don't want to deal with the size, obviously, because some of them can't handle the water temperature, and you have to have a proper combination of willpower, body to withstand the cold water temperature, and wanting to fucking do it, or the experience of, instead of doing a trick in a really small wave many times, being out there so long that you're doing tricks in bigger waves and bigger waves and bigger waves and bigger waves until you're fucking ejecting like I did. Ejecting. Like, just, we're talking about rocket propelling, like, pow, in the air, like Jeff did and Pierre did. And to some extent, Tamega also did it sometimes. So I get out. Nathan brothers, like, they're all teary-eyed and shit. I see them, I'm like, oh shit, I want to tear too. I teared. I teared like a pussy. I teared like a motherfucker because you know, those 2 kids are crying, I'm crying too. And I'm like, yeah, motherfucker, I flew like a motherfucking kite, bruh. I flew like a motherfucking kite. Freaking Oprah there. Bunch of surfers there. I get in the car, still have Red Bull left, so I sip my Red Bull. Like that, I pick up my fucking Red Bull and I start sipping it. I start tearing. Mike Stewart, I don't know where the fuck Mike was. Mike materialized. That moment, materialized. Another professional, very known bodyboarder appeared out of nowhere. I'm like, what the fuck is Mike doing here? Mike's there now. One of the Castro brothers is there. The person that I was with within the car was there, and some other chick. Then the military passes by. Weird shit. Every single time there's some paranormal shit in my life, the military's always around. Paranormal shit, the military is always around. To make it even, you know, suspect. It's like, where's the UFO? You know, like, they literally drove by that fucking road that I just flew like 30 feet looking for a UFO, bruh. In the motherfucking machine gun too. Like, we're talking about we're talking about the striker vehicle with a guy with a, you know, full uniform with a motherfucking machine gun in front. Like, they drove by with that shit like this, just like, what the fuck happened here? You know, and they drove by and I'm like, damn, I think I was that UAV, son. You know, like, in your brain, you put 2 and 2 together and you're like, I was the thing that those guys were looking for right now. And if I would have stayed in the air long enough, these motherfuckers would probably shot at me with that machine gun, board and everything in the fucking air. Because I shouldn't be in the air, or I shouldn't make a blip in the radar. I shouldn't be in the air, period. Because I flew a lot. I was about to leave Earth, son. I was about to leave Earth, son. Leave Earth. You understand what leaving Earth is? When you do something so majestic, you're literally about to escape fucking gravity from your you know, from how grandiose you are. Literally just like disappear. So that was a day to remember. That was a straight poltergeist shit. Doesn't get more poltergeist than that. Me doing that shit. What hit me out the water? I don't know, maybe the power of Thor, or the power of a merman, or some alien pushing me out with a fist. Something came out the water and ejected me out in the sky. A craft, invisible craft, pushed me up in the sky. Negative energy, positive energies. All types of shit could have happened on that moment. I'm going to put these on because I don't know if people are going to make noises. And I don't want to be distracted by background noises. I want to continue my train of thought. So, I'm going to talk about more paranormal shit that happened after that. So, my grandmother's into that voodoo shit. And I'm guessing as she started losing it with popping pills or whatever, just they were giving her fucking oxy. My grandmother started copying oxy from people from the hood, and she started taking that shit. And at the same time, my grandmother started catching a habit of oxys. She started going cuckoo. I'm guessing that's like menopause, or as she aged. She was starting to hit her 60s, and she started doing really stupid, crazy shit, like starting to mix soap in my food, like cleaners in my food, water in my food, serve food like rice from a pot and the shit be soaked in water already, and you're like, what the fuck, this isn't food. Like doing all this types of stupid shit. And I was living with her, so I was experiencing the type of stuff that she was going through, and it's likely involved with that voodoo shit. So over time, something that she did might have poisoned me. And within the poisoned, or that voodoo mix, that witchcraft shit, that hex that she did on me, she was doing weird shit. Like I remember I caught her sleeping, and she was pressing on my teeth with a chalice underneath my mouth, looking to recover my own blood from my gums. Like if you stimulate gums, sometimes they bleed. So I caught her asleep. I woke up, and I remember seeing her with her finger on my gums and a chalice underneath my mouth, looking to catch my blood. I've caught her putting a lit candle under my feet. I've caught her giving me dialysis, or removing my blood into a bucket, leaving me bloodless. You know, I don't have any veins because of her to some extent. I used to have extreme vascularity. After she did that, I lost all my blood from my body. You know, like I literally have, I do have blood now, but I have 0 veins because of her. I stopped having veins because of her. So she used to leave me outside sometimes. If I were to leave either a Tuesday or a Friday when I was leaving with her, too long outside at night to drink, right? So she used to just fucking not open the door if I came in too late, obviously from drinking either free or paid beer, and I didn't get that much money. You know, we're talking about beers $1 there, and I maybe go out with like $20-$25 and come back hammered or whatever. And if I came too late between those days, just hanging out with people, or maybe even just by myself out there, she would lock me out. She left after she poisoned me with something, and I ended up a little bit more than long, a little longer than usual outside. And this was the beginning of me being homeless. You know, I spent homeless 35% of my life. The beginnings of being really homeless she left me out for a little bit too long, maybe like a week or two or something like that. She wasn't home. She didn't return. She left me out. I left in the morning. I wasn't there. I came back and she had already packed up, and I didn't have a way to enter the place, shower, eat, do none of that. She literally disappeared in one of those midnights that I didn't get home for a substantial amount of time. I started just walking around the projects in trunks, barefoot, shirtless, out there like it was my bathroom. Everything, the general area was me barefoot, in shorts, whatever the fuck, in shorts, shirtless, and barefoot, just out there, having a nice suntan. I was a good-looking guy, so you know what I mean. Just a barefoot guy with long hair, long curly hair, shirtless, in the middle of the Puerto Rican summer. So I remember I sat, and I was still feeling the effects of something that was not good from her house, likely shrooms or some type of root or some type of drink. She definitely entered something in my body that shouldn't have been there. So I wasn't my own. I wasn't me. It wasn't me. You know, like I didn't feel 100%. So I sit to meditate in front of the store that a friend of mine used to own, or someone that I used to play Xbox 360, not Xbox 360, but the first Xbox with 2 TVs combined together with like 4 controllers in my great grandma's apartment before all of this happened. So I used to just sit there, a really small, almost empty colmado. We're talking about 10 items on all the shelves, very empty, just very poor family bodega, very poor family bodega. There's literally nothing in there. The kids just sitting in there, and I'm sitting outside. I used to like just sitting there and like sitting there meditating outside or do some stupid shit. Because I remember I was surfing, I was riding 20-foot waves already. I started riding massive. By then, I was already riding 20 fucking foot waves in Puerto Rico. 20s. Not like 10 or 5, not 20s, some the biggest. I was already chasing big monsters. And one night, I sit there. I did the same exact thing I did what I do there during the day. And this person on some type of drugs is having some type of argument with some other old head that's there. And obviously, I know everyone knows me that's within the spot. So this guy comes in there with some bullshit, yelling and doing some other shit. And he spoke in some type of way, me shirtless, that hit a spitball hits my chest. And I snapped. And I never snapped. I'm someone that's not violent. I never physically look to fight. I never physically look to fight other people, do other types of shit. So as this person is popping up at the mouth, there's some old head with my friend inside at the cashier. No fence, no nothing, you know. Like I said, empty, almost empty colmado. The spitball lands in my belly, or midway in my chest, him talking in a particular slurred state, likely drugs, and I start scuffing them. I start fighting him. I fight him. I hit him. Ping pong. I started doing my boxing shit, and I actually hit the man. Got close, hit the face, came back. We're all trying to hit each other. It started as a fight between me and him, and then a third guy appeared out of nowhere, and it was 2 versus me. So I started hitting everyone at the same time too. I was like, hit the skinny guy and the other old head, and I hit them both. Like just boom, boom, boom. I started hitting actual head, and not hitting hard, but connections. You know, like the guy technically felt like he was hit by a pillow, but I was technically connecting with their faces without much follow through. So between all the scuffle, I tackled the guy, you know, fist fights or whatever, tackling, pushing, scuffling, you know, like grabbing each other and tossing through the ground. This guy came in a bike. So I tackled him. I think he's trying to escape with the bike or some shit. He's running with the bike. I tackle him with the bike or some shit like that. He hits himself. He scratches his chin. I take his bike and I steal it and I leave. And this is the start of some real paranormal shit right there. I never fight. Something happened right there that led me to fight. I should have never fought. Like, you just don't fight. I personally just don't fight. So I took the bike from the man. And I disappeared with the bike. You know where I got to the bike in one day? To the south of Puerto Rico. We're talking about 20, 30 miles in that same night. In that same night with that piece of shit bike. A Schwinn. No shifts. A Schwinn 3-speed. Heavy as fuck. I followed all those roads barefoot. Listen to this shit. Barefoot and in a bathing suit or trunk in a stolen bike all the way down to the south of PR. I passed out underneath some colmado, next to some colmado underneath a semi hauler or whatever. I woke up and I kept going. The second day, I made it to Arroyo, which is basically past Ponce Paso, another 30 fucking miles in one day. Still with nothing. And I kept going. I just, fuck it. I'm gonna continue riding this fucking bike this way, just in case this motherfucker doesn't have a car and decides to fucking shoot me or some stupid shit like that. Because you never know. For a fight and stealing a bike, Puerto Ricans might shoot you. They might shoot you for looking at you someone wrong. They might shoot you for looking at somebody else wrong, like for saying some shit like that. So imagine how it was for me to do something so wrong, to fight and steal a bike. So I disappeared. And I rode a bike out to Arroyo. And I'm walking with the bike, and I'm pedaling the bike and walking with the bike and pedaling with the bike and walking with the bike and pedaling with the bike. And around Humacao, I found shoes like that. Not only did I find shoes, but I found jeans as well. So I put on jeans on top of my underwear, on top of my bathing suit. I found jeans and Nike shoes, just left out like that, just to be thrown out. And I put the motherfuckers on without socks, running very specific Nike shoes that I will never forget. Very specific. They were literally unique. I've never seen those Nike shoes. I mean, they sort of have like those plastic rings and shock absorbers in the bottom, and they're really low. And the jean. So I took those shoes and the jean. And I started walking uphill because, I don't know, for some reason, instead of going around the coast, I decided to just go up the mountain. Because in Ponce, I almost had the decision, looking to the middle of PR, literally the middle of motherfucking Puerto Rico, if I wanted to take my bike up the center of Puerto Rico into the fucking huge mountains. Up into, and you could see it from a distance, clear as day, 10-mile visibility, the literal fucking peak like that, like a peak just like that, and the road right in the center of that motherfucker like that. And you're looking at that thing like, do I go that way or do I go this way? Nah, I'm going this way. Fuck that shit. I'm not going. Nah. No food. No water. None of that. So I keep walking. That was after. I keep walking and I find the shoes. I might have passed out between Arroyo and Humacao again. And I decide to go uphill. Uphill, bike and everything. It starts getting really fucking steep. So I'm walking next to my bike. And up the mountain, up the mountains, up the mountains, up the mountains, up the mountains. Up a mountain, up the mountain, down the mountain with my bike. Down the mountain with my bike until I hit a dead end. And the dead end itself, it's mountain or jungle. So I go into the jungle with the bike. Listen to how crazy that shit is. This is where shit starts getting real crazy, real paranormal, real poltergeist shit. I'm going through the jungle and holding the bike with one hand and, just traversing the thick as fuck flora and fauna. As I'm walking, very dense shit, holding my bike, I notice that there's a massive cliff. Imagine how crazy it was if I would. How crazy it would have been if I would have taken 10 more steps, maybe 3 more steps, or if I wasn't looking, or if I wasn't paying attention to my feet, or if the entire section of dirt would have collapsed because you couldn't see it. It was so dense. It's like you're not. It's like it was something like this, and you think you're going down until you reach about here, and you see that it's just a straight cliff wall, like that. And I'm sitting here with my bike, or moving the red bike that I stole through the jungle, and I look down, holding the bike, holding onto the branch, and I look down, and it's like 250, 270 yards down. So 200 poltergeist shit. Oh my god. Turn around, slowly start grabbing bike and more branches, and I continue looking through a particular way to get down from where I was with the bike, because obviously the bike helps a lot. So from up there I could see all the corner of Puerto Rico, the entire Fajardo corner, the Rio Cataño, everything. You could see from that corner up there, that little corner down there, you could see everything like that. 10-mile visibility to the ocean from up there. Imagine how high I was. I wasn't in El Yunque, because El Yunque was technically the mountain that was, if I'm looking that way to Fajardo, was technically the mountain that is right here. But I could see fucking everything, bro, to the infinity. And I kept driving my bike higher on the mountain, and obviously looking for a proper slope to continue, to end my descent, end of the road, which is what I wanted, and continue my journey. But that road didn't come easy. The road wasn't there easy. So I got to the point that I was near the biggest oak trees I've ever seen in Puerto Rico. And oak is hard. I've never seen oak in Puerto Rico. Ever seen oak in Puerto Rico. Oak is rare as fuck in Puerto Rico. Most of the trees are fucking ficus, and certain other types. Whitewood, primarily whitewood, ficus, specific type of whitewood kinds, not blackwood kinds. And oak is black. If you know oak is a black color, or brown, a dark brown color. I seen oak in my journey through that hills, not that hillside, but that trajectory that I took through the jungle, as big as my fucking, in Puerto Rico, as big as both my arms wide, and not going around, and perched at the top of the motherfucking mountain. Like, you would understand if oak would be at the floor base of the mountainside or whatever. Nah, we're talking about an oak tree, thick as fuck, facing its wood, its wood itself facing all of the East Atlantic Ocean above the rock. The dirt, dark dirt, not brown, dark dirt. Flowers, completely different that I've seen. Basically, a massive ecological shift based on altitude, on where I was and how pristine it was. Is that what I'm saying? Like plants, trees, fauna, flora are sort of this style in this area. Around this area, plants are like this style. Around the hilltops, mostly like grass and certain trees or whatever, and around the higher is technically just certain other types of trees. So I was in one of those types of biomes or spheres or whatever. And the floor, to make it even crazier, was also at the crest of that shit was also reef. So you could sort of see some volcanic activity on it, pockets, and it was like the dark the dark dirt, the similar color like the oak, and gray, very old gray reef, like very, very old, under the ocean style rock, grayish, but perched into the infinity that lets you know that that area right there was underneath the ocean fucking millions of years ago. So I start coming down that hill slowly. I start figuring out what's the perfect trajectory to escape this pit of hell. Like I said, less than 60, 75 feet next to me, so fucking clip. I seen death, and I evade death by climbing up that tiny little hill that I didn't, not climbing up, but you know, grabbing onto shit to get out of that zone that might have just crumbled and killed me. And I started figuring out from up there how to get down with my bike. So I slowly started making it down, but my bike didn't make it because I got tired, and I started chucking the bike down. I chucked it, and I demolished the bike on my way down. As I was going down a particular hillside, boulders started to appear, or basically the entire cliffside, as it, or you know, the area that I was starting to descend on, instead of at first it was open, so it was like mainly rocks, or rocks that you could, that if you step on you sort of slide with. Technically just the same cliff face that was on this side, sort of crumbling on that wall too, but not that steep, more like in an angle that if you step in, boulders and rock, not big boulders, but you know, large stones and other small stones would start to slide down with you. And I slid down one of those slopes. It wasn't that steep, but it was short and gradually descending into the foliage, meaning as you were going down those stones, or as you were going down that cliffside like that, you started entering the area where the trees are covering that same area. So you're going down there, and at the end the bike's completely demolished because I didn't have the strength in me to continue holding the bike, or you know, continue holding the bike with one hand and slide on that thing with my butt or whatever. I saw myself more efficient letting go of the bike, so I started chucking it. Chucked it so much that red bike is probably there today. And we're talking about in the middle of nowhere within a mountain in Puerto Rico. It's in there. That's paranormal activity too. The bike, you know, the bike should be there. If nobody recovered that bike in the middle of the jungle, my red bike should be there. After getting down, almost dying from that cliff face, I could see the cliff face from where I was here. And facing me was a waterfall. Right? Waterfall. Like a little tiny waterfall, and the water from the height from where I was, obviously from those trees up there, was sliding on the rock. So I get to the rock like this, and I start sucking on that water. That water was so delicious and cold. The best fucking water ever. Start sliding on that, you know. I go in that shit like this, and I start sucking on that wall, and I start drinking from that water. Exhausted. One of the first times I had water and ate anything through this entire trip in some type of trance. Remember, I'm not hungry, I'm not nothing. My grandmother likely poisoned me or did some stupid shit. Drink water. Then something came into me with no bike already, the bike there mangled, to climb the waterfall. So I tried climbing the waterfall with my Nike shoes, my jeans, up it. Tried to climb it, you know, putting my feet on the rock wall, looking to climb it because I felt sort of stuck. I don't know why the idea of returning upstream was. My brain went on some dumb fuck shit and decided to try to climb up it. So I got like 10, 12 feet up the waterfall and came down. I gave up on the idea, and then I looked the other way and I seen the river, or where large amounts of water, now small amounts of water, would traverse downstream. And I'm like, all right, so if I follow the river, I should get the fuck out of here. That's the logic, you know. The logic of where the water goes is where you're gonna survive. Small creek. We're not talking about a river. We're talking about a creek. You know, a couple gallons of water. Less than an Olympic-sized pool. Less than an Olympic-sized pool of water facing this tiny rock formation that's draining water in the middle of nowhere within PR. So I squat, right? Paranormal event number 3, or UFO activity. I take a knee, right, on this lake in front of this waterfall. Crystal clear water. You know, the bottom is brown, but the water that is coming out of the rock is the most delicious water you've ever felt in your mouth. Nice and cold. It was just fucking delicious. You sip, and it was little of it coming down. It wasn't like a lot of it coming down. It was literally coming out of an aquifer, up the wall and down. Literally a vertical shaft of an aquifer, because there was nothing on top of it, and falling down. That's how it looks like. It literally is, you know, like what I was looking at. It was literally a mountain like this, like a little something like this. The water is creeping out this rock and falling down this face. On next to this thing, you could see the fucking 250-yard drop from the cliff face. That was literally like this. It had an indentation. You know, it started where I was protruding outward compared to the bottom. So everything underneath that is collapsing, or was collapsing, leading to the boulders that I slid down on some other side of the mountain. Same mountain, collapsing sort of the same way as the cliff face. Different types of stones. The stones on the cliffside were more sharp, ragged, darker hue or dark gray blue color shards, you know, large shards of it. And on the other side, the area that I slid down, there were more boulders and round. So as I sipped that water and took a knee to gather my bearings, I focused on a ball of insects, likely dragonflies and other types of fruit flies that were just combining forces within the river. Like, it was technically a swarm of bugs that were following each other around, right? And they went downstream. They united real strong right here. And then that entire ball got really close to my head. The entire swarm within it unveiled a gray humanoid, an alien, what humans call demons on Earth. What society depicts as ETs, Lamals, whatever you want to call them. I wasn't afraid, but I saw its face. And that's all he let me see of him, hidden within this mass of bugs. The detail on him was impressive. His eyes were massive. He was completely see-through on the rest of his body. The actual flies or insects were consuming his eyeballs, or they were perching on the lids. You know, his head was sort of small, like this, and that round, and then huge eyes, and then a small cranium. Huge eyes, small cranium, or light or very low cranium, and really small chin. His eyeballs, just the head in this apparition, poltergeist, ghost, Lamal sighting, his eyeballs had reflection, and the bugs were like cows. You know how you've seen the eyelids of farm animals that insects like to stand on their eyeballs and lick the fluids from the juice from their eyeballs. This Lamal, within the seconds that I saw it visible, had the insects that were in a swarm quickly approach his eyes and start sucking on his large, humongous eyes. Large, humongous eyes. Like that. No mouth, no nothing. 2 little holes, 2 big eyeballs. The eyeballs with insects within the line that makes the eye. And this thing, that the LML, as I'm taking this knee, paralyzed from his consciousness, very likely I was paralyzed there for a little bit after drinking water, turned around, not turned around, he didn't physically turn around. The bugs itself combined into a tighter pack of bugs. Another bigger bug was visible, like two not fruit flies, but dragonflies joined together. So you got like two dragonflies joined together, flying in the same bunch. Remember, we're talking about a bunch of insects. This thing turned into a much larger insect, or likely a bunch of dragonflies flying together like that, and then all the insects, or from the swarm of so many insects out of nowhere, there is no insect visible. The smallest white fruit flies started to fly away downstream. The white ones just like left. All those insects, from that to all, to the biggest bugs, completely disappeared, and only the white ones just down the stream and touching the water. The white one stayed sort of in a little compacted form, maybe like this big, and maybe some of the insects touched the water, staying in this cloud, and flew down the stream. I gathered my bearings, recognized what I saw on my knee. Taking a fucking knee, I recognized what I saw. I wasn't frozen. I wasn't hurt. And I started my march downstream. Downstream, I started moving. Like water started from thinner. Water started getting a little thicker. Not too thick, because the river wasn't as wide as a room. The river was as wide as maybe 13, 14 feet. Kind of rapid in some areas, but it's fairly easy. So I'm going downstream. I got wet to some extent. I started getting wet. As the rapids started, as that little pool of water started moving a little faster, I grabbed onto a log, hugged it, and went down. I went under a rock, like a big boulder went under a rock. I'm moving inside the perimeter of the river, because the river, as I started going to it, started creating taller walls. My decision to go into the river started to feel kind of like, this might be not so good, because the edges started getting tall on me. The water started to dig onto the earth as I was moving through it. So I hugged into a huge log. I went underneath a rock that was flowing through water. I get to a waterfall, or a huge flat stone like this, with just a little bit of water trickling into a basin beneath. And that basin down there was like 13 feet, son. At least greater than a basketball rim height. At least greater than that. And it's technically a rock that you slide with your butt in the middle of nowhere. Basically from a tiny little pool to a huge rock that slides to another fucking flat drop, like 13 to some gravel down there. So I went for it. I'm on survival. I went for it. I could have broke my leg there, my ankle. I could have fucked my shit up right there, but I'm guessing I was athletic, or the Nike saved me, because I landed feet first. All my weight dug into that gravel, and right there I started looking at the ground, because I thought I saw gold. My brain immediately right there thought about income, or thought about money in that spot, because that spot likely contained gold, and I was likely surrounded by other things. As I started moving down the beach, I got to a more calmed area, not beach, but starting to feel more comfortable about the river situation. Nice and flat, less rapid declines. Started feeling more comfortable about that. I get to another pool. Again, less than a swimming pool size. Pool of water, brown bottom. This midget person, I don't know if midget's the right term, but this really small person, female, with dirt on her face, clothes made of really old wool. Really old wool, wool, how wool is. Not a distinct piece of clothes, more like an overall. More like a square layer of cloth that you dig a hole and you put wool over your head. And it wasn't even tied in the middle. Ripped in certain edges. Was there a miniature woman? Miniature. We're talking about less than 3 feet tall, fully grown human. And she's like this, squatting in the water. I'm coming out of the motherfucking jungle with jeans, the shoes that the jeans that I found, the Nike shoes that I found. And she looks at me. I walk past her. She has mud in her face, like she has literal mud in her face, like this. And she turns around and walks into the jungle. In Puerto Rico, listen to this crazy shit. In Puerto Rico, there's a tribe here, something. I don't know. This could be a tribe. This could be someone. This could be people stalking me. This could be a bunch of shit. I don't know what the heck is going on. But I didn't say anything. I didn't speak to her. I didn't see nothing. I just saw the person looking down at the river, looking up, something that was below my midsection. A female that was below my midsection tall, and I'm 5'6". Below my midsection, turn around and walk in the woods. Barefoot, no shoes, no nothing, just a piece of wool over her, not symmetrical, and in there. Like those emergency the emergency blanket material? Light brown of that, cut up in a certain shape or pattern, and into the jungle with mud in her face. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? So I leave the jungle because right after that pool and that lady walks straight that way, there's a bunch of houses. Like that, in the middle of the jungle, and a road in the middle of nowhere, a road that a road with houses that today I would never find in Puerto Rico. And I'm giving myself the 100% full confidence of going looking for the road and going looking for the lady, and going looking for the houses within that spot. Okay, here we go. We're headed to another poltergeist event. I get there to the lady, right? And I'm getting there like this. I'm getting there like that, and I just show up, likely muddy, wet, sweaty, wet from the river, and I'm just looking at her at the door in a particular way. I don't know what the fuck she's seeing. Maybe I turned into an alien already, because I can't look at myself. And the lady, without saying anything, gives me water. Like that. That's straight poltergeist shit right there. That's poltergeist. That's 100% mental, mind, connection, good karma, country living. That is something that just doesn't happen in the United States. It might happen in the South, and you're just standing there and you see someone on your porch. You might as well just give them water because they look all types of fucked up. So this lady brings me a fucking tall glass in a glass this tall of water, thin cylinder of water, and I sit down. Listen to this crazy shit. I sit down and start drinking the water. Within seconds that she gives me the water, she returns to the kitchen. She gives me a plate of food with rice, likely gandules. It was yellow rice, with a bunch of tomatoes, avocado, beans, and a little meat. My first meal since having that fight like 4 days ago. That's the first time I ate all that time. And this is without communicating. Or maybe I was communicating with her. Maybe we was connected in some type of way. Maybe I spoke to her with my brain. Because I didn't say a word. I wasn't speaking to her whatsoever. And she was just automatically doing what she has to do. Or doing whatever the fuck she wants to do. The water, sit down, drink the water, a plate of food. And I consumed all that food within a second. And I dropped the plate, put the plate right there, put the plate of water right there, and I start walking, and I look to the left, and there is another road between these high, thin trees. You could see the rest. It's not right next to it, but because the road I was sort of hidden inside the jungle, and it wasn't connected with the road. Some crazy, like I said, I would never find this place ever. Even if I tried to try and looking for that house in Puerto Rico, I would never find that shit. I look to the left, and a convoy of soldiers. Convoy. We're talking about jeeps, trucks, all full of soldiers. And my dad's a soldier. And this is coming from a dad that sneaked in, and I saw, with the same car that I got in Puerto Rico when I was training for the U.S. Army. You know. Fucking convoy of motherfuckers. 3 trucks. Buses. You know, we carry people. Likely stick maybe not half a battery, but about maybe one platoon. One entire platoon. The shit full. Escorted down that shit. And I just ate and had water, and I'm still going. Around that area, right? So that day is going to get nasty. What I'm going to do that particular day is going to get nasty. I fall asleep next to the beach that night because I'm walking. Remember, I have no bike now. I can't go fast. I start walking. Passed out in some hammock next to the beach. And that night, it was cold. I felt like I was being watched big time. You know that that feeling? They're fucking looking over you real hard. No cars driving past the road. A random hammock in the middle of nowhere in Puerto Rico. Hard all night long. Hard. But I'm talking about being stared at, and I covered myself. And I knew that I was surrounded by them. That night, I knew I was surrounded by them. There was a whole gathering of these spirit people, or these ghosts, or these Alamals around me. There was literally an entire hall of these motherfuckers around me that day. And I was right next to the road too. But I felt that night that I was literally surrounded, and I had to take the hammock and cover my face in some type of way to not only stop me from being cold, but from the feeling that they're fucking looking at you really bad. That they're on you, literally looking at you face to face. So I keep walking. That day I wake up in the morning, keep walking. It's a pretty long walk through Humacao, all through Humacao. So Humacao started dividing with a highway. Between Humacao and in between Humacao and Fajardo, there's a fucking highway. A tiny little highway. Basically, the direction that I took led me to have to cross a highway to get to the beach again. Then I had already made up my mind that I'm catching a ferry to Vieques. So I start walking through the shoulder on the highway, and a panic ensues because cops start, I'm guessing a cop went the other way and came the other way, cop came this way and turned around, then another cop started coming behind me, and I think they were going to stop my journey. Out of the many times that cops sort of maybe knew the person, maybe seen the person, but they weren't going to interact with the person. Because I've seen them a couple times, but they weren't interested in stopping me in my direction. Within that highway, I think they stopped. So as I seen them coming from behind me, I decided to leave the highway and enter this barbed wire, low barbed wire or farm barbed wire area. So I see the barbed wire and I start moving through it and I start running because I see them and they got out the car and I start running and I jump barbed wire. I literally, while sprinting, getting away from them, at that moment thinking that something's going to happen or that I'm going to get caught and returned home or whatever. I jump to some extent that I hop an entire motherfucking barbed wire. And barbed wire is pretty tall. Regular standard barbed wire shits to my nipples. I hopped over that shit while sprinting. So imagine what I sort of turned into. My body was starting to change. And we were going to see, and I was going to see how much it had changed based on what's about to happen in a little bit. My body was going through some type of transformation. So I hopped that, I seen it, anticipated, and hopped, cleared it like a breeze. Just like right over that shit, titty high, breast high, this high. A fence that would likely be very tall to someone. I executed it and got through it, cleared it fully. So as I'm going, I jump a fence and I end up in a gated community. Gated community and golf course. In there, panic ensues because the people within that gated community, the security guard with that gated community, could sort of see at a distance what was happening from the highway. So they all start following me. So I remember seeing a soldier. Listen to how crazy this shit. Listen to how crazy perception is. A black boot, green camo guy in a Banshee. You know what a Banshee is? A ATV 2x4. Started chasing behind me at full throttle with a fucking Banshee, bro. Another soldier try to stop me. Same in camo. In camo, son. Black boots. With a taser. I felt the taser hit my back and it did nothing. Nothing. I felt it hit nothing. I heard the plak. I felt the thing, sting my back. And I kept moving. And this is the chaos within that gated community. I kept running, young kid, going through a tough time, moving through very long lengths of distance in short periods of time. I start hopping fences that divide each house. So I hop a fence, I stay quiet, I hop another fence in line, because all houses are sort of in line, they all have fences. I hop a fence, someone's in this house looking at me. I hop another fence, someone's in line looking at me too. Oh my goodness, so there's people in houses. And I start hopping all these fences, and I recognize when I look back that the soldiers, and now local police officers, because Puerto Rican divide into two types of police officers. Estatal police officers and local police officers. And now I notice that behind me, I also have a fucking local police officer too within that moment. I have nothing on me. I haven't done anything wrong but steal a bike in Puerto Rico and have a fight or do some stupid shit like that. And I have nothing on me. Nothing. Zero. just the clothes and the thing and the shoes that I found. So the rookie cop or the local police officers jumping over the fences, and that triggers some paranormal activity inside me. And I hop a fence that's approximately 8.5 feet tall, maybe just 8, flat 8 in seconds. I start hopping fences, cement fences, 8 feet tall, 3 of them in a row in seconds, and jumping down, just crossing through people's yards, like that. Effortless shit. Effortless. 8. Just like 8 feet. Not like 6, 7, 8, not 8. Not like 6, 5 or whatever. You know, like 5, not 6 or whatever. Like, not 8. Tall ones. Just, and moving and moving and moving. At the end of those 8 walls, I was about to go on the street, but I decided to cool down. Listen to this crazy shit. I decided to cool down. So, in this end house, after jumping all those houses, there's this little square area. At the end of that house, there was another wall, but an opening to the street and another house. Little cement wall like this, where people keep the hose, and it's like a little cubby, like a little cement area like this into the backyard. I hid right there. Not standing, but with my knee. You know, like I put myself in a fetal position. I put my knees up after jumping, like a poltergeist scene. Straight poltergeist shit. I squat, put my knees to my head, lower my head, and I start listening. And I hear people approaching me up the right there. And I start calming my breathing. I start focusing on my breathing. I start focusing on my sounds. I start focusing on the world around me. And I stay really quiet. After all this hustling, and steps on the grass, right there to the edge, to look down to the area where, down the area to the backyard of that home, and I was right there on that area where the hose is. And it wasn't such a big of an area. It was like 2-3 feet. Just sitting there, knees up, very calm. Like how you would squat like you poop with your knees up like that. Knees very tight together, head down on your knees, trying to calm your breathing, trying to breathe and take it easy, just like. After a significant amount of time, it wasn't that much, I left that little corner of that house, or the little tiny area which protected me from being seen. I basically, from a wild chase to a complete halt to hide, and there was nobody around. I crossed the street from that gated community into another field similar with barbed wire. I get my feet dirty in some mud, and I continue crossing until I make it to a road that's technically the same road that I was before. Technically the same road that I was before in the hammock, but way ahead. I might have made a mistake between the way. The same road. Instead of going that way, I got carried away and I went some other way, and I went precisely back to the beach road, and I started walking up the beach again. That night, I made it to the ferry, which is the the Vieques ferry, basically the boat to go to the Lesser Antilles, to go to the islands or whatever. So I make it there. It's nighttime. I'm sitting there. I've traversed all of Puerto Rico within a couple days, you know, on bike and on foot. And there I spoke for the first time. I said, "Pang," like that, "Pang," and this lady comes out and brings me a bunch of fucking bread and a bunch of cheese, and I eat all that shit. And it wasn't a panaderia, it was just randomly someone's house. They literally brought out a bunch of fucking bread like this, start putting a bunch of motherfucking yellow American cheese slice on that shit, and I ate it. And I'm already feet from the ferry, the boat that I'm gonna take tomorrow, by asking people to pay me for the trip, because that was the plan. The plan ended up being, I'm gonna take the boat and I'm gonna go somewhere else. That night, I open the door, not the door, but I open the gate of a church. I see the church, and I notice that the church is empty. Nobody's going to be here at the midweek or whatever. And I go into the church. Tiny little public church. It's not really a church like you would think of a church, but it's just technically a building that says church on it. There's the benches, there's a place where people pray, and I go in there and I try to grab some rest, because tomorrow I'm asking people to get me on a fucking boat to get me to the other island, to leave Puerto Rico. Obviously, all with the spookiness of all this shit. You know, all the shit that's been going on. It's been fairly paranormal. Been some serious shit there. You know, from then to now, it's been pretty serious shit. My belly's full of bread and cheese. I'm sleeping, and I'm staying there. So I wake up around 6 in the morning. A cop greets me at the gate. Literally, I get out of church. I act like if the cop is not there, like I didn't, like nothing. I get there after getting out from the church, open the gate. You know, it was those gates that you pull, metal gate that you pull and close and lock it back into the cement below. I pull that, I open, I close that, the cop's right there. I walk away. And I go straight to where the ferries are at. And I start asking. I think I asked one person, and that one person got me the ticket to go to Vieques. So that morning, on the first fucking boat out to Vieques, I got on the boat. And now I'm starting to feel like ecstatic. I'm like, oh my god, I made it to Vieques. It's pretty amazing. My brain is leading me to go places, and I don't have anything. No clothes, no book bag, no skateboard, no bike, no nothing, no phone, no nothing. Just me in Vieques now after walking all of Puerto Rico. I get to Vieques. I start walking from the ferry up. I get a pickup ride to X spot, some particular area. One of those nights, out of walking, I see this young man with really long hair, like a hippie like me, another smoker. And I asked him, "Do you have food?" I started asking for food. "Do you have food?" "Sí, tengo ahí ajo con mucho." Something like that. I got rice and beans right here. I'll give you some. So he gives me rice and beans. And I noticed that in his backyard, he has a fucking vert ramp. In Vieques. A birdhouse. Massive birdhouse stickers. Left and right. In Vieques, bro. But massive. This long hair dude. Really long hair, brown hair like this. Like long like mine. Gives me the you know, just a regular plate with a little bit. He didn't give me a lot of food. He just gave me a little bit of rice and beans, and that's it. So like I finished eating, and I walk by the house, and I see this fucking vert ramp. Massive fucking vert ramp in his park. I'm like, god damn. A vert ramp in Vieques. Jesus Christ, what you find when you're on your own. So I got on the main road and started walking down to Esperanza. That night, 2 3 in the morning, I ended up in Esperanza because people in Vieques are extremely friendly. Another pickup, another driver like that. I got in his car and I was in the middle of the Bembe, in the middle where everyone is at. So I was in Esperanza, got there, started hanging out at the beach. There's lots of tourists. I start feeling amazing, you know. And I start feeling like, yeah, made it, you know. I'm like, yeah, kids, not kids, but teenagers or whatever, me with nothing. I'm like, what the heck am I going to do here? Tomorrow we'll figure out how we're going to eat here. We're probably going to ask or work or do something stupid to eat or whatever. You know, just ask someone to give us some food or something. You know, we started learning about that. No money, not asking for money, but asking for food. And the day, you know, I passed out right there. The day came. Bunch of tourists walking up and down that sidewalk where I was in. I got in the beach. I met a Rasta. That second or third night, a Rasta came through and hooked it up with a bunch of potatoes and a bunch of fish. And we literally cooked it right there where I was staying, right there on the sand. The Rasta was like, yo, man, just, you know, like sitting there wrapping the fish in aluminum foil, eating with him. He left, just went, likely one of the locals from the island. I walked around a little bit. I swam from Esperanza to the island on the other side of Esperanza, holding my jean. Like I took off my fucking jeans. I wasn't going to swim with my jeans. And I hold on to my jean and I swam to the other side of the fucking island in Esperanza. Came back like that. I started living the life. I came back to that. Then some other lady that was there was selling flowers. She was selling flowers made of palm leaves. And I started doing the same exact thing she did. I'm like, how do you make them? I'm like, yeah, you make them like this. And she showed me how to make the flowers from palm leaves. And, you know, you fold the leaves or whatever. And you make the stem with the palm leaf. And you do this and that. So I had, you know, I made like palm trees and I put them on my feet. Like that. I never sold one, but I made them too. I'm sitting there, you know, with palm flowers in my feet, just sitting there, you know, enjoying another day after all of this thing has gone through. So I think I ate from the restaurant. They gave me food at the restaurant right in front where I was staying, and I think I asked for a job. Or some shit like that. Some stupid shit like that. I didn't ask for a job, but I said one person that was raking leaves at the end of Esperanza, right there before that bend. I said like, oh yeah, I could do that for you. Like yeah, you know, I could clean the leaves for you. So I took the rastillo and I started cleaning, and then the police showed up. And it's like, are you are you Enrique? And I'm like, yeah. Yeah, it's me. Why? Well, come with us. Your grandmother's in the station. I was like, alright. So I went to the station and there was my grandmother. After 2 weeks of being gone, literally, after 2 weeks from being fucking gone, me out there, leading to a fight and leading to all this, got home or whatever, likely from the United States, appeared from 2 weeks somewhere, appeared back in Puerto Rico, and decided to take me back into her place. And after that time, I felt out of place. I always felt that touch with nature. And those entry level experiences with what's outside, paranormal, not paranormal, nature, other people, led to the experience that allowed me to be 35% of my life without a home. Or basically the environment that these people that live here have put me in, or you know, the challenging life for them that they would have lived, what I did early defined the character of who I am today. You know, like without that little bit of experience, I would have never been able to be homeless for maybe 1.5 years staying in shelters, and then 5 full years without interested in going in shelters, already satisfying all the pleasures from the world, earning income, having a computer, traveling on my own, and doing all these things that I've already accomplished and what's coming. Because For me, life isn't going to be easy. I am not someone that's going to have an easy life and is going to lay back and have like a home to sleep in with everything paid. Eventually, I'm gonna have to pay for stuff, and it's not gonna be easy for me, because obviously, my family members aren't going to make it easy for me. My family members, both mother and father, have defined who is what, who is for whom, and I, since the beginning, have been left out, and out I will stay. So, my life in the future would likely consist some of what I've already experienced, and to some extent, as I age, I might have to start sacrificing my income to stay places and to pay for things and to satisfy some standard of living as I age. But without these specific living experiences of me, just being picked up like that, exactly like I explained it. Cop pulls up with the SUV. Hey, are you Enrique? I'm like, yeah. Like that. I'm already happy. I'm already communicating with people. Like, yeah. Well, let's go. Your grandmother's in the fucking station looking for you. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, it's over. Like this, rake in my hand. Rake in my fucking hand. After asking the person that I could do that for him. Rake in my hand. I have to give the rake to the person that I gave the rake to. And leave to my... And leave that because someone wants to cut my dream short. And this similar behavior they have continued to do later on in my life. It wasn't just in Vieques. It was in Hawaii. It was with Tony Hawk recently, or with Tekashi 6ix9ine recently. It's happened all the time. They've always liked to intervene when I'm achieving another standard. When I'm about to when I'm about to improve, when I'm about to evolve into something new, the people that live here like to get in the way and like to bring you back into their shithole life. And it sucks, because I've dealt with it too many times, and I'm stupid for falling back into it. I'm stupid, not for listening to them too much, but I recognize as I aged that not all parents want the best for their children, and what their interests aren't your best solution. Like, all the things that I've done in my life have been decided by my parents. My parents have set certain things for me to do. I've followed them and I've failed. I started winning when I started listening to my own channel. When I started listening to myself, I started winning big time. I started securing things. I started securing wealth. I started doing what I am successful in based on a decision. Following people around, not following people around, but doing what other people are telling you to do that wastes time is probably one of the worst things people could do, especially parents that don't know what the fuck you want. That don't care what you want, only what they want. And if you do what they want, thinking that it's the right decision, you're just gonna fuck it up. You're gonna fuck it up. Every single time I've been misguided and put on another life has been them. They have been right there. They have appeared, materialized in some shape or form. We're gonna cut your dream short. Not like we're gonna stop giving you money, because they stopped doing that a long time ago. But they physically intervened what I'm about to, when they recognize that I'm living my best life. They physically intervened. They've been there. Like I mentioned before, my dad was inside the Oklahoma base. Ask him why the fuck he was inside the Oklahoma base. Why the fuck was he when I was training? What the fuck was he doing in Oklahoma while I was training? What's his real background? Who is he really for him to have such power that my actual dad, or the person that I consider my dad, inside Oklahoma within Fort Sill while I was training? That's the type of people that have been involved in shifting my life in however they see fit, and they failed miserably. They think they've succeeded now with the things that I've accomplished on my own, but not because they physically helped me achieve the things that I've completed today. I don't owe them shit, or they don't. The decisions that I've made that have made me successful have been without their input. But they've been intervening in everything they ever done. They've tried to intervene, and included friends of mine or other people who are part of their entourage of pressure to change what you do, so that you become nothing because there's something. Understand what I'm saying? And they literally, whenever you're about to become somebody, my parents have intervened. Whenever I was about to become somebody, my parents have been in the middle, or have appeared, materialized, physically materialized, either or, including friends or non-friends, every single time. And I've wasted my life. I've wasted my entire life based on them. Yeah, I'm old now. I'm 40 years old. I dealt with their bullshit for my entire life. My entire fucking life I've dealt with that bullshit. Of being in the middle. Or coming straight to the action when you're about to become a self-sufficient, important person. A star. Because I'm a fucking star. I'm a public figure. I'm not their son. I am a public figure. I am someone from other people. I am someone that many people know. I am someone that everyone knows but wants to keep their mouth shut of who I am, because they know that I kick their ass, or they know that I am the life that they envy. And it sucks. Like, what else can I say about that type of situation? Hope you guys enjoyed my stream. It's been 2 hours of solid storytelling. Solid. I'm the best storyteller I know. I'm the best one. Ain't no joke about that. Ain't no joke about anything that I said. Everything that I said is a 100% Bible, hand-on Bible, the truth. And what else can I say? What else can I let you know of how serious this is? Poltergeist, Illa Mouse, extreme shit, and it sucks, because if I was a little bit more supported by my peers, I would likely be somewhere else. I'd probably have a car that they paid. I'd probably have insurance. I would probably have my eyesight, because they tried to take that too. That's how manipulative and how evil my parents are. I'd probably have my eyesight. I'd probably be a completely different person, because they know that if they were questioned, they wouldn't ever say that I've supported my son in everything he wanted to do. They know that shit's an outright lie, and they wouldn't say it because they have pride. Because my father was famous when he was small, and he was famous up until now. He was an umpire. He was a ping pong umpire for the US Olympics in 2012 or some shit like that. He went to the Olympics. My dad is involved in the Olympics in terms of table tennis. So he was ready from out the gate, someone that was extremely important and proficient worldwide in something specific. Just like I am in a bunch of shit, because they want to deny that I'm important in a bunch of shit, because they're just envious as fuck. They envious as fuck. They can't. It's like you're telling them you're the raw matter. You're the real shit. I'm hanging out with Kanye West, Dad. Think they give a fuck about that shit? They don't give a fuck. They don't care who Kanye West is. They don't give a fuck about popular culture either. If I tell them, bro, Dad, I'm getting horny looks from Kim Kardashian right now. I know. And Cardi B at the same time, and Kourtney Kardashian. You think anyone would fucking care about that shit? None of them would care about that shit. None of them would, because they're all just full of envy of what I've become. And since the beginning, since intervening with me in Hawaii, since intervening with my talent and trying to disclose my talent at 100%, disclosing, trying to full filter, hide the person through loopholes, through friends, through whatever. recognizing that they were also extorted by people who also want the same thing that I got. Because obviously talent isn't, you aren't alone when you got talent. You got other people there that want to be you too bad. But obviously in my environment, I'm Michael Jordan. I'm the apex predator of that shit. And you could tell when you're the apex predator, but everyone else is trying to deny it, including your parents. Everyone's trying to hide it. But Kelly Slater comes to me when I surf, so by himself, that means a lot. At least that means a lot to me, that I'm a fairly, a fairly good person. If Kelly's coming to you the same way Tony Hawk came to me, the same way fucking Jeff Grasso came to me, the same way all these professional skateboarders came to me, and how I developed a relationship with Andy Irons as I grew up, and later on in life Kelly Slater came to me, and all these heads that still sort of have an idea who I was when young, when questioned. You could tell how interested is the people within the sports to how much interest my parents have on what I do. Because if there is any interest, it's all against me. It isn't fully for me. Like, they recognize I'm Michael Jordan, but they're more about Pippen. And they're more about, in my life, my parents, both mom, dad, everyone else in my family, are more interested in helping Pippen be more like Jordan. Or looking to take Pippen's bribes and shit. Looking to take the community, taking a community approach to what this thing is, that it's more powerful than whomever the fuck they think that is the equal, and identifying more with those that surround me, or those that want to be me, technically, because those people that surround me aren't good. The people that are good in my life are primarily the superstars. The one that tells you, the people that tell you the truth, not the people that want your place, but the people that are way better than you. Those people are the ones that by far that they mean the best for you, and they want you to have a record deal. I wouldn't doubt 6ix9ine wants me to have a record deal in whatever the fuck I want to do. I wouldn't doubt Kanye West either, any of the people that I met then, for me to perform at their pace. Rather, what others that my family would consider as relevant to the sports that I've mentioned, and their support. Understand? Like, it wouldn't cross my mind that the people that my mother was involved with were also involved with Lizzie Armanto, someone that tried to kill Tony Hawk. It wouldn't surprise me that all my enemies through my life, in terms of talent, looking to smear someone because they're really important and they're really talented, just to take their place, just to claim that they're more important than them because we have something, because he has some controversial information or whatever that everyone else should know and we know. And that's not how that shit rolls. I could be Michael Jordan and there's no controversial information that could change if I'm Michael Jordan or not. And you gotta tell those people about that shit. Those people are primarily the key people that utilize people like that, because they bribed the shit out of Tony. I was about to be in the Birdhouse team. Tony Hawk specifically told me while skateboarding in Union Square Park to get into the fucking van with all the skateboarders as they were taking all their stuff from the van. And what happened after? Lizzie appears out of nowhere and brandished a silver firearm and aimed it at Tony Hawk, looking to retrieve an orange camera. And what happened? She took the board. She took a Birdhouse board and walked away with it, looking to prove something for herself. And people like that want to prove something for herself, an extremely criminal looking to take human life, are primarily the people that my parents would support. Because they would enter their life. They would use me. My parents would support them, use me to gain something, and I'm disclosed again in something new. I could have been the best in the world in skateboarding, or I could have been hanging out I could have hung out already with the best in the world for a little bit, but I'm completely hidden because of people like that, because of people that are actively pursuing to hide someone, to hide him. to disclose controversial information about them, to smear them or whatever, and they don't have the talent. It's always the least likely to win. It's always the fucking weakling, not the good one, because I was a fucking good one. I was the one that the professionals have to come to. You know, I'm the guy that was out there that Tony Hawk appeared out of nowhere wondering what the fuck I was skating and what I was doing. We're talking about skating wherever. New York City, hiding from the rain, skating underneath this thing. Here comes Tony Hawk. Eyeball what I'm doing there. Real life, real shit. The Tony Hawk. I was a really good fucking skateboarder. If Tony Hawk's behind me, I don't doubt my abilities to skate then. And I likely don't doubt him now, but I need practice. I just need to lose a lot of weight and return to how good I was before. And it's always been like that for me. It's always been like that. The pros come to me, and then my family and the people that want to be me start to slander me, or start to disclose the situation, or start gaining a movement against me until the professional fixates on the money, or until bad things start happening to them because of me. You know, bad things. We're talking about armed robberies. We're talking about theft. We're talking about extortion. Just looking to stop me from achieving what I want to do. And I have a huge list of shit on my computer on the thing, and on email, of the things that the people continue to do to me, and those who are involved, as I capture the moment. Because I'm pretty smart. I capture the moment on certain instances, and I remember, and I write down the details of the things that had happened. And it sucks, because over time, I get good at something, I'm about to be hired, someone's there to put me down. Someone's been stalking me to put me down. Someone's been trying to set me up to some extent so that I don't get selected. In everything. From employment to sports to things that I got talent in. And where they have failed is education. They have not, their criminality have not allowed them to enter a school and kick me out from school. Where if they owned the school, I would have been failed or kicked out or some stupid shit like that. They're all against me. Obviously, because they want me to be some slave to them. They want me to crawl for money, you know, or beg for money or whatever. They just don't want me to be successful. It's people in terms of values don't want to see the man next to them grow. And I'm not the type of person to be behind the money or chasing the money or asking for money or looking for promises or begging people for stuff or asking to borrow money from people. I'm not that type of person. Everyone else is just looking to befriend someone for the benefit. You know, looking to look for the benefit. And I'm not like that. And everything that I said here is the truth. And if you oppose or think that I'm lying, you best just jump off the 10-story building, because I ain't lying and I ain't going anywhere. What I gotta say is the truth, and if people deny the truth in some extent, they're lying to them fucking themselves. You know, if they want to believe it otherwise, they want to believe all the things that have happened to me have not happened, and they have their own side of looking at things, they're fucked, because it's just criminals looking to defend themselves, not the truth teller, not the full disclosure that has happened within my life in my multi-talented environment. Because I'm not just good on one thing. I wasn't just born to play some ping pong, you know. I wasn't just born to be a beauty pageant winner or to be, you know, Miss Universe or whatever and put a tiara on my head and say thank you because I'm cute. I'm none of that. I'm something more special than that. And you could tell by my education. I got 2 degrees and I'm going on a 3rd one. 3. Not 1, 2, but 3. So I'm definitely way above the standard in terms of what I need, what I'd like to consume after disconnecting my mind from my body, which happened. Thank you very much, Isaiah. Isaiah. Thank you very much, Isaiah, for the follow. Since I disconnected my brain from my body, which technically happened in 2012. Once I left the military, I forgot about that physical shit and I started focusing on my brain. So yeah, I'm gonna shut down the stream. Thank you very much for the follow. I am going to send my viewers to we're going to see let's go to CFNC. What the heck is that noise? We're gonna raid channel. I'm going PUBG. Thank you very much for you watching what I gotta say. It's really late here. I gotta go. Peace. Don't forget, anything that I said here is 100% truth. I deny it otherwise. You're a criminal and everyone knows it. You're a criminal and they'll let you be a criminal without sticking you in jail for the rest of your life. I'm straight edge. I am the knife that cut through butter. I am the judge and the executioner. I am the top, the clean, the virtuous, the holy. No matter whatever dirty rag you want to pull out of my life, it's not going to work. That's not in the, you're not questioning the actions in my life. You're questioning the actions of others towards my life. Whenever the fuck you know me and want to bring some shit. Have a good night, everyone.